We welcome you to the USL on ESPN in downtown Phoenix from the corner of 38th and Washington. A sweltering evening. Memphis take their 12-match unbeaten run on the road to the Western Conference 8th place side, Phoenix Rising. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Look at the Rising lineup tonight. Emil Cuejo is available off the bench for the first time in 2 months. Dev, King, and Gallardo into the 11.
It's also the first time pairing in this back four that sees a tactical change that gives them flexibility. They want to maintain possession, make Memphis chase, use the travel, use the weather to your advantage. But it's all about Manuel Arteaga up top. 4 goals in the last 4 games. Only 1 shutout on the season. Only been shut out 4 times. It's very much that defense wins championships. Offense has only won a few games. For 901 FC, I look at an unchanged unit overall, conceded the 3rd fewest goals in the USL Championship. Aggressive in the outside backs that see narrow outside mids. Compressing the midfield, adding options moving forward. The addition of Everson Hyndman and Rodrigo da Costa has been impressive. 3 goals through 5 appearances for the number 9 up top.
2 teams that have been very familiar with changing shape of late, and 2 teams that hardly know what losing feels like recently. All eyes on this Memphis team. Tim Howard's side now 12 matches unbeaten to rise to 2nd place entering the weekend in the championship. Rodrigo da Costa critical in that turnaround. Carlos Harvey, the former LA Galaxy player, patrols the midfield specifically with the loss of Kevin Lambert to international duty with Jamaica. There's the opening kickoff. Here we go tonight in Phoenix. It's Rising hosting Memphis 901 FC. It's a temperate 105 degrees at kickoff in Phoenix tonight.
Thank goodness you're in charge of the bills and paid the air conditioning bill.
Oops. Pulled back by Kelly. That's Drew Romig, who continues to start in goal for Memphis despite Bill Hamid's presence in the team. Jelani Peters. Graham Smith. Turned away by Eddie Manjoma. Regrettably, a crowd of 10,000, Dev, at this new stadium in Phoenix. Not entirely out of the ordinary. It's not going to be the case tonight, regrettably. Long run for Akeem Ward. It's a goal kick for Phoenix.
And you wonder exactly what the local fans are capable of pushing onto the pitch tonight. Again, this 901 FC team, 12 games unbeaten, best in the USL Championship right now. They've evolved under their first-year manager, Stephen Glass, a team that was really the talk of the town, certainly within the Eastern Conference argument last season. Tactically, they've adjusted themselves, seen a bunch of returners, but with the new additions, could they maintain the identity that they've continued to build on and add layers to it? Answer has been yes. But how much can they take from the Western Conference wonders? Probably have to say formerly known as Phoenix Rising at this point in time, trying to make their way back into the argument of a perennial favorite. The heat, the travel, and the tempo that used to be, and certainly what the future lies ahead for Phoenix. Can they get back on track to all of the victories and goals that we saw in seasons past?
Aaron Malloy touching over. Akeem Ward. Peters. Smith. Hyndman. Kissiadu. Kelly. Malloy. MVP finalist in both League One and last year the championship. Rodrigo da Costa circulates back. Malloy with a blast that caroms wide. Clever positioning. Keep that in play. Kissiadu. Harvey grinds in, wins the ball for Phoenix. And an epic ball through that skips by Trejo. Otherwise, he's off to the races.
Expect more of this from both teams tonight, though. That's vintage 901 FC. You want to talk identity about what this team is capable of. A lot of touches on the ball. I mentioned how the outside midfielders are going to come narrow. That's not a negative thing. They are very aggressive with Akeem Ward and Reese Buckmaster coming off that back line, maintaining possession anywhere on the field. Overlaps, underlaps, really clean and efficient on the ball. And Phoenix, as they sit and let this play out in front of them, they'll be happy to go side to side. The question is going to be, how often can they get guys like Erickson Gallardo and Danny Trejo in transition in 1v1 situations?
Malloy. Kisiadu. Darnell King's first start at home this year, 4th in the regular year, and turned over to Gallardo. Held up by Panos Armanakis, taken back by Memphis. That's launched to 39th in Washington. Dev, what do you make of the acquisition of Rodrigo da Costa? It was a major trade, one of the biggest in league history, with Philip Goodrum, who scored nearly 20 goals last year, going the other way.
It certainly fits right into what 901 FC is trying to do, though. I mentioned their ability to maintain possession. Rodrigo da Costa certainly has come in, made himself right at home in the forefront of that argument. He'll be in the pocket more, trying to find a way to create 2-10s. He can still stretch the game in the 9, but Philip Goodrum, much more quick fire in nature. And for a team that in 2022 was way more transitional, deep lying, balls up over the top, 2 and 3 guys making the case for themselves to try and challenge a back line in transition. That is the difference here, is that when you push it high and all of a sudden you have a ton of bodies, you have to have someone who's a bit more comfortable with their back to goal and with a lot more players around them. Rodrigo da Costa fits that bill.
Held up by Harvey. Fuenmayor. Crutzen was the crux of Forge FC's 3 title runs in the Canadian Premier League. Fuenmayor smashes the diagonal. Trejo trying to streak around Buckmaster with a push. Feels like we're seeing Memphis live up to the billing. Stephen Glass, their head coach, formerly at Aberdeen and his native Scotland and Atlanta, called for long spells of possession tonight. Memphis taking advantage of a transition moment here. Kisiadu, one of his former charges at Atlanta United. Good ball central, popped over the top, and that's out of the reach of Rashawn Dolly. Rios Novo steps out. Now Phoenix pounce. Armanakis. That's away.
He's got such a responsibility tonight. Panos Armanakis, and the role that he plays, it's this false 9, 10 type role underneath Manuel Arteaga. Defensively, you'll see him pop out over that right-hand shoulder, but can he drop down in quick enough and eliminate the passing lanes to Aaron Malloy and Jeremy Kelly, but then still maintain that attacking presence on the inside as he pushes just in front of those 2 6s. He peels off, combination play with Gallardo on the other side with Danny Trejo. Expect separation between his 2 holding midfielders. They're just looking for link-up play. That 2-3 man argument that I mentioned for 901 FC last year is exactly what Phoenix is trying to chase over the last 4 matches. That has seen them shift into this 4-back system. Everything is about the width, speed, and really getting back to what created so much success for them really from 2017 through 2022, at least halfway through the season.
Rolled into Armenakis. Slides for Trejo. Maintained by Gallardo. Armenakis toward the corner. These last 4 games you mentioned, Phoenix 8 goals in that time. They've settled for 3 draws and a victory, just 6 points. Crutzen. Njoma. Mayor. Racing in, Armenakis. That's blocked, the bounce beneficial for Njoma. Conversely, commits the foul.
Beautiful moves by Panos Armenakis, but what's going to go unnoticed, but certainly not unrecognized, at least on our parts, is the leave by Carlos Harvey. You talked about him earlier. The guy's a ball winner, and he's going to come in this deep-lying nature, physical presence, but he's got beautiful vision, eyes in the back of his head quite regularly, and the understanding that Armenakis is going to just slip in behind him in that passing lane to let it fly through. Open up an excellent opportunity for Phoenix Rising.
Red Fury and the Banditos brought juice tonight. Good article from USL Championship.com about finding a home this new venue. Juan Guerra leading this Phoenix side, 2nd season. He came in midway through last year, having been the head coach for Oakland Roots. And Dev, part of the conversation we had with him, we've said it a lot over the course of the past 2 years. The league that Phoenix ran 20 wins off in a row doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And so this Phoenix side under Juan Guerra are going to have to do things differently to be successful 2023 and beyond.
Well, not just in general, but within his system. This is a guy, and he admits it, he's stubborn. You know, he has a way that he wants to play. You know, whether it was his time at Oakland and then coming to Phoenix, he wants to play with that 3-man front or 2 10s and a 3-back system that sees them spread the field wide. A lot of underlaps and overlaps, touches on the ball. That didn't necessarily fit the bill early on this season. You can call that personnel, form, injuries, whatever it may be. He understands that in order to find success, they've got to evolve. And so he took it upon himself to say that I have to grow as a coach. I've got to get out of my own way. And so you're starting to see some of that bear fruit over the last couple of matches. What they're trying to do now is fine-tune. They have been decimated with injuries, and now all of a sudden when things start to go their way, you lose an instrumental piece like Kevin Lambert to Gold Cup and the Jamaican national team. Can you maintain that positive momentum without one of the most important focal points of your team? More importantly, when he comes back, do you continue down this path? That's the real question that I asked him, and he was a bit coy. They don't necessarily know, but I applaud him for that. To be able to change while he's on a coaching course, not there, not being able to train it, and yet still get 4 positive results in the last 4, I commend him for it.
Njoma fires! Oh! His first goal for Phoenix Rising is a scorcher in the desert.
There's no question about Eddie Njoma is capable of playing on the right, playing on the left. He's comfortable. And so as a wingback or as an outside marking back, there is an understanding from this young man of tactically exactly where he needs to be. I talked about 901 FC and how they want to shrink the field, allow their outside backs to get high. Well, Eddie Njoma gives them a taste of their own medicine. Just creeps up right underneath Danny Trejo, allows the width of the field to still be there for their focal piece on the outside. Njoma providing the presence, the touch, the precision, and the lead for Phoenix Rising just inside 15 minutes. Incredible from distance.
And to your point, earlier about the leave for Armanakis. It's Harvey that gets the assist that led to 3 dribbles and unleashing quite the effort. Ward playing through. Phoenix unbeaten this year when they do score first. Memphis can say the same. They've been perfect this year scoring first. On average, they score within 30 minutes. So is it worth the 105-degree heat to come out for this game? I think so.
And for his first goal in the USL Championship in a Phoenix Rising uniform, you better believe Eddie Manjoma is a most certain yes in that argument. I would say, though, that, you know, we talk about tactical switches and how things change. Certainly you want to hold the width and make sure that you're pushing numbers high. We said that at times it was going to be a 2 or 3 man conversation. That wasn't the case there. That's where you can see an honest observation of, we are going to change tactically into a 4, but we're not going to lose our principles. We're still going to create width. We're still going to create overloads and options moving forward. Great recognition by the entire squad, and certainly Manjoma on the backside of that argument.
Kisiadu returns. Hindman, last cap for the U.S. national team. Malloy circulating through Buckmaster. Dolly. In goes Malloy. And there's Crutzen. Turned over and struck on a line by Peters. Off target. Trinidad and Tobago full international, left out of the Gold Cup team. Darnell King. Potential head injury. Referee's always going to stop play for that. Referee tonight, Brandon Stevis. By the way, we crossed past 15 minutes. Memphis has conceded 7 goals in the first 15 minutes of games, most in the championship this year. And their defensive record, Dev, on its face is actually very good until you realize they've played 3 or 4 games less than most teams.
It's quite astonishing, though. You've only given up 16 goals on the season. That's the first part of this. The second is half of those in the opening quarter. That's not a good look for a 901 FC. You basically are either scoring or giving one up right away and then trying to find a way to fight back into a match. The good news is the character is there. But to your point on the backside of things, the goals against average really isn't a massive talking point for 901 FC, as they're ranked right around the 10 mark at 1.14 goals against per game. So third least given up, but you've also played quite a few matches less compared to everybody else. So the numbers don't exactly look impressive.
And conversely, they've got the second best goal difference in the league, behind only Sacramento have the best defense in the championship. So it's not that it's been bad. It's always been a more attack-minded Memphis team. Even last year under Ben Pierman, they were certainly stout defensively, but you had a pretty good feeling they'd be able to outscore you as well.
You ask Stephen Glass right now what's on his wish list, what he wants to change about this team. There's not much on this 12-game unbeaten streak. So we started slow.
Blasting into King, and there's the whistle. That's Kisiadu with an obvious push.
We've certainly figured things out. I like the way things are going. We're attacking our patterns of play, but what we need to do is stop conceding. Now, where in the match that occurs, that's a whole nother conversation, but it's that simple. If you've conceded the third least amount of goals, you're still conceding almost every single game, right? So you've got to find a way to shore that up. Phoenix, same argument. They've only been shut out 4 times this season. The problem is they only have 1 shutout to their name. So does it really matter how many times you tickle the nylon, hit the back of the net, if you can't prohibit that from happening on the other end?
Well, when you put it that way, no, I guess not. Phoenix grabs the lead on a stunner from Eddie Manjoma, former FC Dallas player. Rising coming off a 1-1 draw at Oakland. That's Juan Guerra's former team. Actually went on the road, stayed on the road. They trained in Oakland's facilities. Said it was a unique moment to go back. There was a lot of vitriol last year. And he did not coach against Oakland with Phoenix later that season. Ball launched long and out of the reach of the run of, well, the whistle's blown. It is outside the area. Manuel Arteaga brought a yellow to the occasion as well. There is no VAR in the championship. What you see is what you get.
This is Graham Smith just trying to come up over the backside of Manuel Arteaga, Phoenix Rising striker who has been incredible form. 6'1" frame, plenty of speed for him to utilize. And as he gets in behind, just a crossing pattern that throws the center back for a little curve. There's a tiny bit of contact.
I mean, sure felt like Arteaga let those heels go up a little bit, huh?
Credit to the striker. I mean, he certainly knows what's right there. Drags the foot a little bit. They do connect. But no necessary malintent from Graham Smith. What sort of beautiful magic could be from Phoenix Rising. 21 minutes in, you get the great goal from Manjoma. Now from a dead ball situation. Crutzen in that left foot of his, coming off the back line. He should feel comfortable. Danny Trejo has had an argument in matches past. Certainly Arteaga can let it fly off that right foot.
Crutzen and Arteaga, the option standing over the ball. Drew Romig, his 8th start of the year, stands in goal. Phoenix, of course, have one of the great set-piece takers in league history and world history. Didier Drogba, who used to drill from places like this about 5 years ago. Will it be Arteaga? Arteaga went for goal. Rebound in front. Smashed home by Harvey. Cue the music. It's a party in Phoenix. 2-0 Rising.
Defensively, it has gotten better, but there's been no argument whatsoever for Phoenix Rising and their ability to push the conversation moving forward. Smart by Arteaga, goes low, gets around the wall. It's a good save by Drew Romig, but he doesn't get any help whatsoever. The follow-up by the Panamanian, and all of a sudden, 22 minutes in, an oasis in the desert has been found.
Welcome to those of you watching now on ESPN2. We hope you enjoyed the thrilling action from the American Cornhole League. We've got quite the game going on here in Phoenix. To folks watching on ESPNU, you can join us now for continuing coverage of Rising in Memphis on ESPNU. Phoenix goals in the 13th and the 22nd from Manjoma and Harvey. A stunner from Manjoma, Harvey from about a yard out. And Phoenix in control here at the outset, trying to unseat a Memphis side, a dozen without defeat.
You got to feel for the goalkeeper in that situation, and Drew Romig. Again, it's a nice move by Manuel Arteaga to keep it low as the goalkeeper drifts over. Time just stood still. Nobody tracks the secondary ball being coughed up. Can't blame Romig on that one. Just needed some assistance, doesn't get any. Instead, the supporting cast of Carlos Harvey within the midfield ranks. Outside of the argument of possession, goal and assist, 22 minutes in.
Aaron Malloy, one of the best chance creators in the league. That never got off the ground. Let's show you what's happened so far tonight. This from Eddie Manjoma is a stunner.
Just watch him just sit idly by as Danny Trejo starts to come high. He stretches the back line. More importantly, he keeps them honest and keeps the space on the inside to open up. Manjoma says, thank you very much, I'll take that. Strike from distance, 1-0 Phoenix, his first in the USL Championship, and first for Phoenix Rising, and then the follow-up just moments ago. Manuel Arteaga, 4 goals in his last 4 games, hoped that it was number 5, but going to be happy that it's the deuce for Phoenix, and Memphis finds themselves chasing.
Dev, we're halfway, just past the midway point of the first half. Is this Phoenix performing at such an extraordinary level? Is it 2 odd moments over 24 minutes? Has Memphis struggled? Where do you stand?
I would say that the first argument is going to be on the second goal, and that's because it's just ball watching. It's stuff that you learn, and it's ingrained at you at a young age where after the first ball is hit, you have to follow forth. If you're a striker, you're chasing to follow it up. We just saw that from Carlos Harvey. But defensively, they needed to be better and provide some support for the goalkeeper. On the first one, they got confused. They got confused at the fact that Danny Trejo goes wide. They follow, in their eyes, the most threatening piece, and they forget about an extremely talented outside back, and they let him get the best of them.
Advantage play, cut back across by Armenakis. Trejo, right at Romig. Jeremy Kelly. Phoenix expected a much more substantial crowd tonight, but there's an excessive heat warning from the National Weather Service ongoing in central Arizona. It is 103 degrees Fahrenheit with 8% humidity. This is an oven tonight. Kelly. Zambrano. Wonderful idea. Trejo will run it down. 2 options percolating. Instead, it's Armenakis, the midseason acquisition from Loudoun. Gallardo. Yeah, free kick. Gallardo tried to spin free. For those of you watching on ESPNU, here's your chance. Grab your dial, join us on ESPN2 for our coverage tonight in Phoenix between Phoenix Rising and Memphis 901 FC. I think the fam's all here now. I do this at family reunions a lot. Give the wrong address, last minute.
I thought you meant grab a mic and talk.
None of them are paying for that. Set piece here. Armenakis. Romig. Manjoma. Have a little time to collect this, perhaps. Sliding into DaCosta. By the way, Dev, one of our really good friends over the years with Phoenix just left the club. Jose Bosch moving on. I call him the heart of Phoenix Rising. He took a lot of slings and arrows on social over the years, but he also created one of the best social accounts in all of soccer in this country. We do wish our good pal well.
Incredible. That front office staff, that immovable in terms of what he meant for the organization overall. PR, comms, you mentioned social media, content. Watch out.
Turned over, Kelly touches aside, and that's scooped away by Zambrano. Near catastrophe for Phoenix. He would have had a funny one-liner for that. Nevertheless, Armenakis. Trejo. King. Sought the return for Gallardo. King slides, cleared over Trejo. Zambrano, the Venezuelan international, and Romig will circulate upfield.
Now this is an area they got to find more repetition in. The removal of Aaron Malloy and Jeremy Kelly from 901 FC in their build right now. Everything is on the exterior of the field. It's exactly what Phoenix Rising were trying to do in their game plan. Do not allow either one of them to get involved, and so when they have been on it, you'll notice it's immediately being sprayed outside. Nothing coming. Route 1 right down the middle.
Laurent Kissiadou driving in on King, who's up to the task. Wrong side at Armenakis. Advantage played. Kelly. Ball touched through, away from DaCosta. And leading Trejo. Slithers through. Sees the run of Armenakis. Hindman finding Kissiadou. Spots the run, but misfires, and back to Rocco Rios Novo. Player from Lanús who came into Atlanta United. Got a number of starts in MLS, but this, far and away, his longest stretch of consistent game time as a pro. Harvey. Ball through, flag is up, it is offside. And it is a cooling break. 103 degrees gives us about 103 good reasons to get the players off the field for a moment. You know, Dev, we regrettably didn't get to show a really impressive breakdown as to the shape change or the difference that we're seeing in really both these teams. Maybe now is as good a time as any to go ahead of the curve.
What you have to understand for 901 FC and what they're capable of, the change from 2022 to 2023 rests a lot on the shoulders of Aaron Malloy, but it has to be a full team effort. And as you step into it, everything last year was deeper. It was transition. It was direct up over the top. Aaron Malloy, good representation. 2022, notice the vision. Head up the entire time, trying to find guys like Philip Goodrum, creating the one-on-ones, 1v2s, getting them as direct as possible, and then go. 2023, very different. Aaron Malloy playing a higher line, possessionally, more touches on the ball. Instead of 30-yard balls, you're looking 5, 7, 10 yards tops. But as you squeeze the field, all of a sudden, here's the aggression of the outside backs. You get guys like Reese Buckmaster, Hakeem Ward, as he progresses through, more passing lanes, more numbers, and more success for 901 FC. The continuation of 2022 puts them near the top of the Eastern Conference in 2020.
Of excitement about what Peter and Craig and Tim and the ownership group are preparing to do in Memphis. They've got plans to build a beautiful venue there. And talk to Stephen Glass, he'll say, look, we have everything we need right now, but if I'm being greedy.
I'll be Devin, you be greedy.
Yeah. DaCosta. Oh. He slid that through expertly for Ward. With the cross will carry him out. And it will be a corner here for Memphis, who are shockingly down 2 goals here. Eddie Manjoma in the 13th, Carlos Harvey off a rebounded free kick in the 22nd. Phoenix on the scoreline in control, but Memphis have had some spells. Can they find a goal for all this hard work? We'll be off that service.
It's a better response since the second goal for 901 FC. Midfield-wise, starting to retain more possession. I wonder, pressure they bring defensively up top, much higher line now. They were giving too much credit to Phoenix Rising. Some of the lack of decision-making from the home squad has allowed this to just maintain a 2-0 lead. 901 FC certainly dug themselves a hole, but they're trying to fight back into it now. Now variability. They got to find a way to start to change up some of the looks, something they've been so good at this year, playing inside, playing outside. The aggression of the outside backs has started to fall back because of Danny Trejo and Gallardo being in such advanced positions.
Nothing in that. Not enough for a whistle, at least. Kelly. Kelly once more. If you're unfamiliar with Memphis this year versus last year, much more central role for the midfielder. Ward. It's Peters playing high. Kisiadu testing the back line. The flag is down. Ward. Stutter steps through. And clearance as far as Malloy. Dolly. Buckmaster curling all the way across and asking genuine questions.
One of the biggest differences of this team last year to this year is touches around the top of the box, and certainly they have to chase that a little bit here, but notice the patience where maybe last year in 2022 you get Philip Goodrum on a half turn right at the top of the 18 trying to go it alone. Instead, just step on it, allow the circulation outside over Sean Dolly to take shape. Still got numbers in the box, retain possession, maintain the confidence. Not the best of starts for 901 FC, but some of their identity starting to come back into play.
It's going to go flying all the way down. To your point about Goodrum, no goals, no assists in 9 games in Memphis. He goes to Tulsa, lights the world on fire. 6 games, 5 goal contributions, 4 goals. So maybe it's just a change of scenery. Or maybe it's just those fire FC Tulsa kids they've unleashed this year. Only 3 times that Memphis has conceded twice. It's the first time they've conceded twice in 25 minutes. Ward streaking into the frame. The cutback ball all the way by Dolly, and this shot ricochets off Wen Mayor. And Memphis's lifeline for the moment is snapped.
Pretty impressive from 901 FC in that high line by Hakeem Ward. How's the drop off, by the way? Rodrigo da Costa just at the elbow. Almost executed to a T, just couldn't cross it. The defensive shape for Alejandro Fuenmayor, just dropping down in. Again, if you're Phoenix right now, as good as things were, they're starting to struggle a little bit with all of the movement from Memphis 901 FC. Some of that has to do with the fact that you've now gotten Aaron Malloy and Jeremy Kelly on the ball, but I would also say, and more importantly, there's just a higher defensive line. They've been more aggressive in nature, chasing the game a little bit in moments like this, making it more difficult for Phoenix Rising to play out of the back and creating separation between Carlos Harvey and Renzo Zambrano. Link-up play more difficult.
Well, that's decent linking up with Harvey. It's not Gallardo. That had to traverse a long distance. For Memphis, they have to kind of decide tonight, right? They've traveled time zones. This game starting at 10 p.m. Central Time, and then it's 100 and some degrees. So how much did you want to press at the outset? Now that you're chasing, how much do you now?
It's also how the game presents itself to you.
Right.
For sure. I mean, the way the game started, you couldn't chase back and forth.
Kisiadu, Kelly, Malloy, the string puller. He is Geppetto. Ball pitchforked over the top. Da Costa is offside. 3 goals in 5 games since his entrance, but didn't so much toe the line as run all the way past it.
This is the same movement, though. We just saw it a second ago where when you spin it to the outside, previously it was Rashawn Dolly, but instead of coming into his feet or maintaining that or going to Buckmaster, you've got Aaron Malloy. That's the high presence that I talk about for the midfielder. Aaron Malloy is so vital to the success of this team, regardless of his location on the field. But as you move him higher up on the pitch, his vision, so impressive. 40 chances created, second in the league. His 8 goals and 10 assists last year made him an MVP finalist. It's the only time in the last 8 years that we've seen a true number 6 in that argument. The only person you could really get into with it is Aiden Quinn. And Aiden Quinn was more of a hybrid 8-10 in that Orange County squad that had the double-double back in 2018. You'd have to go all the way back to Rolo Lopez of 2014, and even he was much higher up on the pitch than what you see in the iteration now for Sacramento Republic.
That is the other ongoing game tonight, by the way. Sacramento and RGV on ESPN+. That is just shy of halftime right now and scoreless. Orange County may well be on the way toward another victory. They're up on Monterey Bay. Vegas and Tampa Bay level. That's Gallardo, who carried a long distance. It was a bit blasé. Harvey. Buckmaster into the width. Sean Dolly can really gallop. DaCosta, the back heel toward Dolly. Good stuff from Armenakis. And an excellent ball through. Arteaga has scored in 4 in a row. Make it 5. The man's on fire. Phoenix is on fire. 3-0.
Just to remind you of the game plan coming in. Stretch the field wide, transitional moments, find Arteaga, Gallardo, Danny Trejo. Well, pretty much every single one of those players have been involved tonight, but only one has stood above the rest, and it's Arteaga. Good argument if he goes down here that Graham Smith, second yellow and a pen, but no need. Unnecessary in nature. With the physical prowess by Arteaga, it's his 10th on the year. It's the lead in the Golden Boot race, and it's the trifecta for Phoenix before halftime.
Arteaga now has scored 7 goals in the last 9 games. And yes, catapulted to the top of the USL Championship Golden Boot race. And he never seemed to find this form in Indy. For whatever reason, it's gone the right way. And there's not a lot of depth behind him. He's the guy, but it is a position where a little depth might be positive as you get later into the year.
You look in as an out-and-out focal point 9. Are there options? Yes, but it's thinning. It's probably the polite way to say it. So Arteaga, when you have a player who is exhibiting himself like this at such a high level, confidence off the charts, you don't really care about what else is behind him, do you?
No.
And yet you have to. You have to search and say, well, what if? What if there's an injury? What if he doesn't have form? What if we need rotation? None of those, any sort of talking point at this point in time, certainly needs to be addressed, because you don't necessarily want to throw Gallardo up there. You don't want to go into a 2-man system. Does Danny Trejo have to be the main spearhead? Good news for Phoenix Rising. That's certainly onto the bottom of the wish list, at least at this point in time. 3 goals in the first half. Certainly a blaze out in the West.
had a manager once tell me he has the Daniel Rios profile, which I found interesting. Rios, of course, lit things up. Was Dave Sarkin already the coach at North Carolina by that point before he went to Nashville?
It was prior, I believe.
Well, he's on pace to have Golden Boot caliber season. Kissy Adu. Ball dropped off to Kelly. Kelly curling! 4 minutes of added time. Rios Novo put down the Select ball. Select, the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. Many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Dolly. Followed by Arteaga. Dev, at halftime, you have some surprises for me, right?
Well, I'm sure it's certainly going to be my removal from most everybody's off-season gifts that aren't sent to begin with. But we're going to talk some league overall outlook. We're pretty much at the halfway point for everybody. Certainly some games in hand here and there, but talk about who the MVP is. Biggest surprises, both good and bad. Who we think the East and West winners could be.
Ward off the chest of King. Yeah, you're gonna make a lot of friends out there, influence a lot of people, Dev.
It's that time of year. You know, you might as well just rip that Band-Aid right off. And you know, we're backloaded with games on national television this year, so a little bit of a slow start, but certainly plenty of time to make friends down the stretch.
Yep, can't wait. For what it's worth, they did just announce a doubleheader. It's coming up on ESPN2 later this year. You might think, really, with cornhole? Not this time, my friends. August 19th, Detroit and Las Vegas added to the TV schedule. They'll precede San Diego and New Mexico. We've got plenty going on between now and then. We'll tell you all about it. Harvey orchestrating. Just did get by Malloy, laid off to Trejo. And that skips over. It's Rodrigo da Costa. And a foul by Zambrano.
Rodrigo da Costa, not always fleet of foot, but one-on-one with Enzo Zambrano. Great job with his hips, just catches him flat-footed. This is going to be a real major talking point in the dressing room at halftime, though, for 901 FC. Their vision being used against them. Outside mids getting very narrow. Good job by Danny Trejo and Gallardo finding these half spaces where they're pushing the ball to the width. But as the contraction comes like a heart, when it starts to pump out again, they're finding these gray areas to operate within. These seams pushing the ball forward continuously. But right now, can you get any sort of positive momentum heading into the dressing room with this marksman standing over the ball?
The Irishman plays short. Kelly. And halftime arrives with a half-hearted set piece. The crowd deserves to applaud. The fact they're here at all deserves applause. Eddie Manjoma, a shooting star of a goal. Harvey, the rebound 10 minutes later. And the finale from Manuel Arteaga, his 10th of the season, most in the championship in the 43rd minute, the breakaway that he does convert. Darnell King walking out with a special guest of sorts, and Phoenix has gotten the job done thus far. They lead Memphis 3-0. Halftime coming up in the USL on ESPN. now would be a great time for a cold beverage. It's 12:01 on the East Coast, and as SVP would say, I'm not tired yet. Phoenix 3, Memphis nothing. With Dev and Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Dev, you said you're going to make friends. Let's do it. How about we talk about the surprises around the league to start?
Well, to me, the biggest surprise in a positive nature is going to be the good. It's El Paso Locomotive and Blank Clairhout coming in. The biggest question was going to be, what are they going to be? For a team that had so much talent coming into last year, it just didn't go well for John Hutchinson, pushing 15 returners. All of a sudden, second in the Western Conference, chasing that #1 overall, chasing a supporter shield type role with goals from Lucho Solignac. They've been impressive. The bad has certainly been Miami FC. Recently, the departure of Anthony Pulis, we just never really saw it take shape this year. Defensively, really stout in 2022. Attacking-wise, never got it going, and unfortunately, neither one of those arguments came into play this year. 11th in the Eastern Conference, just one from the bottom. 2 wins to their name, right around the halfway point. Again, plenty of talent there, just haven't lived up to what they thought was going to be the hype. Certainly not ugly. Russell Cicerone, a career year for Pittsburgh Riverhounds and Bob Lilly. What does he do? He goes over to Sacramento Republic and has certainly been their MVP. 12 goal contributions, 9 goals, 3 assists, tied for the Golden Boot coming in. I would certainly say that Manuel Arteaga has something to say about it now, but he has changed the entire complexion of what that team is capable of. One of the best attacking-wise, certainly the best defensively. Cicerone has been magnificent.
And Sacramento, with that change, maybe the best team in the West.
Right now, they are. Again, El Paso is hot on their heels, but they've been very consistent. They're upset because they got knocked out of Open Cup. It might have been the best thing that ever happened to them. They struggled with the balance last year, even though it's one of the best forms we've seen from a lower division team in cup play and league play. Now they can focus on one thing. Mark Briggs, 2 years into his entire team, 4 years into tenure, has them ticking at a real high weight. #1 in the Western Conference, and what could be the #1 seed come USL Championship playoff time. The Tampa Bay Rowdies right now, 4th in the Eastern Conference, games in hand. But you look at the real argument of what they're capable of. It's J.J. Williams, Charlie Dennis, a revelation in the 10. Cal Jennings, Jake LaCava back on loan, Jake Arman playing well. Ryan Spalding has gone back to New England after his beautiful loan spell. But a ridiculous amount of talent, and lest we forget, Neil Collins, still the manager on the sideline for the great team that is the Tampa Bay Rowdies, still seeking that first title overall.
Phoenix Rising hosting Memphis 901 FC tonight. Memphis has a 3-goal hole to climb out of. First half highlights on the other side of the break. Welcome back to the USL Championship on ESPN2. Phoenix Rising off to a tremendous start tonight, trying to extend to 5 unbeaten, knock off Memphis. They're up 3-0 at the half at home. With my tag team partner, that's Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Dev, was this as lopsided as the scoreline would make you think?
Absolutely. 901 FC lost the moment from the beginning, to be honest. And they certainly found some sequences that Stephen Glass is going to be happy about. But Phoenix, they got exactly what they wanted. They stretched the field. Everything was transitional. And the 3-0 certainly doesn't hurt after 45 minutes.
Let's take a look at first half highlights, of which there are many. We start in the 13th minute of play. This was the showstopper.
So this is really what got the party going, and it's not necessarily the goal. Yes, it's a cracker from distance, but to me, this set the tone for everything because you couldn't figure out spatially where you needed to close down. Eddie Manjoma recognized early on that he could push his line a little bit higher, start to find that little half space to operate within. Great strike from distance. Same argument for Arteaga, but it's the follow-up by Carlos Harvey. He had the assist on the first, the goal in the second. Phoenix, 2-0.
And in the 43rd minute, how about we have a new leader for the Golden Boot?
4 goals in the last 4 matches. Notice how he just drifts off that back shoulder. Graham Smith gets isolated here. Jelani Peters start to rotate near the new touchline. You can't blame him because the space was there for him to chase down, but the player wasn't. Lack of support, lack of speed, but not a lack of understanding from Manuel Arteaga. Instead, 5 goals and last 5. Phoenix Rising, 4 times this season they've scored 3 goals, never in the opening half of soccer.
All right, here's a look at halftime stats, and our friends at Stats Perform make this very simple. For all that's changed for Phoenix over the years, dating back to October of 2018, a loss to Las Vegas, 56 matches unbeaten when they lead at halftime, 52 wins, no losses, 4 draws. Memphis will have a long way to go if they're to get that job done tonight under a full moon in Phoenix. And maybe this is Phoenix rising to the occasion and finding themselves once again. The second half is coming up after these messages. This is the USL Championship on ESPN. Welcome back to the USL Championship on ESPN. Hope you enjoyed all the halftime content with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Phoenix Rising will try and carry those 45 minutes over the finish line. 56 matches unbeaten when leading at halftime over nearly 5 years. All right, Dev, how does Phoenix make this better than it was? Because that was pretty good.
We're going to go back to Greed again for Juan Guerra and Stephen Glass. You just got to be real careful that you don't sit back in this situation. Now, you don't have to attack the game the way that you did, but do not allow Aaron Malloy and Jeremy Kelly to get back into this game. Great job in the first half removing them.
On to the second half we go. Phoenix ahead 3-0 on Memphis. Still triple-digit heat tonight. Every single day in the Phoenix area, the high has gone above 110 degrees. Trejo streaking ahead for Phoenix. Trejo! Romig. It nearly went from bad to worse somehow.
Again, for 901 FC, you have to wonder what the conversation was, because everything was certainly about the fact that we have to solidify our mistakes, get out of our own way, and unfortunately, Jelani Peters almost hands them an absolute gift inside 60 seconds. They got to settle this thing down. They've got to find a way to get themselves on the ball more, create the calming nature that is usually about them. I mean, early on, notice how deep Emerson Hyndman is. They're trying to find a way to create options and almost get themselves into trouble.
Kissidu, that's Malloy. Malloy, there's contact into Dolly. Armenakis run amok. Out for a corner for Memphis. Let's not act like it's not out of the realm of possibility that Memphis turns this thing around. They've allowed 3 goals in 5 road games all season, but they are unbeaten in those 5 games, 4 wins and a draw. Malloy, and chip back toward target, deflects around, and eventually off the crossbar. The offside flag has ended that foray for Hyndman and Memphis.
It's a good move, but did you notice who the deflection came off of, even without the whistle? How about a one, Carlos Harvey? Love this little move, played forth right on the penalty mark. Good run by Rashawn Dolly, who's trying to pick out the back post. But once again, Carlos Harvey, assist, goal, and then game saving on the top of the 6. What you'll immediately notice for 901 FC, outside of the fact that once again they're off to the races.
Gallardo floats over Trejo. Trejo dancing. Now it's Dolly.
Just keep an eye down underneath, Mike, because normally you get a stepping stone out of Jeremy Kelly. I mentioned how Aaron Malloy will come higher in possession. Jeremy Kelly becomes part of the leverage moving forward. So a lot of times you'll see Malloy to Kelly and then a link up on the outside or finding their 10, whether it be Emerson Hyndman right now or Bruno Lapa in certain instances when he comes off the bench. What they're doing is pushing him much higher. So they're trying to eliminate the outlet passes into Carlos Harvey and Renzo Zambrano. Successful so far, but you have to be real careful. If they bypass that initial line, all of a sudden, Aaron Malloy's got to be real careful that he can shift side to side quite rapidly, because there are still numbers on either side of him. Armenakis is in there, Arteaga's dropping in, and as we've seen from Success, Danny Trejo and Erickson Gallardo providing leverage as well.
Kissidu. Zambrano tracking. Cross through, attempt to flick that on. To be for Rashawn Dolly. He's managed 3 goals to start the year. His third stint in Memphis, this far and away, his most successful. First draft pick out of Quinnipiac, 2019 to FC Cincinnati. Smith. Tiaga put his foot on the line. Flanked off Zambrano. Still, it's Dolly. Buckmaster. Smash back to Kelly. Hindman. Akeem Ward got Gallardo in the air. Recovered by Armenakis. Gutsiest decisions Memphis has made this year isn't necessarily their shape, but where they've played Jeremy Kelly. They've done a wonderful job extenuating some of his best features.
Well, Phoenix Rising fans will be probably quick to forget his stint here on loan from the Colorado Rapids.
I already did.
Yeah, right? They got him into those holding midfielder type positions, just didn't work out.
Slid away from Armenakis by the defending Aaron Malloy.
To get a player to flip his mentality of, I'm an exterior guy, use the touchline to my advantage, try and find a lot of moments where I'm the one stretching the play, to all of a sudden being a piano player himself, but from the middle of the field. That's not an easy thing to do. That goes back to the tutelage of Stephen Glass and getting him to buy in.
Buckmaster, he's across. Paco Rios Novo's there.
Also with the understanding that this isn't out of necessity for Jeremy Kelly. This is out of design. Stephen Glass fully believes that this isn't a plug-and-play where I'm going to take Jeremy Kelly and, okay, we're going to let him fill the spot because of injury or lack of form. There are other players that they could be moving into that mix on a regular basis to take that position. Instead, he feels like he is one of the best in the midfield to be able to make an argument for himself.
Slide in there. That's Arteaga. It's drawing the eye of the official. It does continue here with a quick restart. Rashawn Dolly. You know, Dev, at halftime we talked about your potential conference champions. Well, when you do it, you write it in stone, I know. Sacramento out in the West. You mentioned Tampa Bay in the East. And the changes they've made mid-season, finding some health, all the players that either were injured or left over the offseason, guys like Fernandez injured, Guanzati leaves. You finally get LaCava back. Fourth place in the East, it feels like they've had a rough start, yet there they are just a couple of games out of first. As this bouncing, shrugging off, it's Gallardo! This is like the Phoenix Rising of old. 4-0 Phoenix.
try and get back into a match, you got to push the tempo a little bit. You have to take chances, but you also isolate the back line. Great recognition here by Rocco Rios Novo. He recognizes the fact that both center backs extremely high, and all of a sudden it's a one-on-one if you've got a mismatch. Erickson Gallardo, tactful in nature, a ton of speed, one-on-one with Jelani Peters. The bouncer not. Notice the class. Just to slow this down as fast as it was and have the understanding to pick your head up, check the positioning of the goalkeeper. First for Phoenix, insult, injury, 4.
His first for Phoenix, same could be said for Eddie Manjoma's missile. Harvey's 4th, Arteaga's 10th. And Memphis, with their worst defensive performance of the season, giving up 4 tonight. They'd only seeded 3 in 5 road games previous. Buckmaster trying to find the road back. That's Ward. Kissiadu. Advantage played. Kelly.
Just look at the numbers forward. I mean, again, I don't fault 901 FC at this point in time, but the retreat, there's got to be a level of intensity that has to come up if you want to find any sort of way back into this match. You and I have the privilege of representing the league on Sirius XM for USL All Access every Tuesday. And did we not just have a conversation recently about Sacramento Republic and San Antonio FC and the difference within that game? Sacramento wanted it more. That's what it looks like right now for Phoenix. Now, we can discuss tactics all you want, but it's as simple as this. On turnovers, Phoenix are flying, and 901 FC are slow to recover. There's no recognition whatsoever that they want to chase back here and help themselves out.
It's with Phoenix once again now. There they go again. Gallardo has a goal already. Tees up Trejo! It's everybody tonight. It's a Phoenix Rising onslaught.
Just continue to pile on the layers here for Phoenix Rising. Juan Guerra and the tactical switch, getting out of the 3 set. There was too much emphasis from an attacking standpoint put on the wingbacks. Instead, we need to utilize our assets to the best of our ability. It's our 9 and it's our wingers. Get them into one-on-one situations. Let them go and make the plays. Last 5 matches, Danny Trejo, 2 goals, 2 assists. This was a layup for him. But Phoenix flying to the tune of 5 goals out in the desert. An absolute masterclass in transitional attacking football for Phoenix Rising.
That is 6 for Trejo, who bagged 14 goals last season in Las Vegas, a former first-round draft pick of LAFC. It's contagious when you play like this, isn't it, Dev? This Phoenix team?
Well, it's demoralizing, too, if you're 901 FC. I mean, this is just, you couldn't have convinced me that this was going to be a 5-0 barrage by Phoenix Rising. You want to make an argument that they're going to create chances, okay? You know, maybe they create a couple of opportunities and score some goals, but to score 5, and in that same conversation, keep 901 FC off the scoreboard 61 minutes into a game, far-fetched for anyone to make that case and be believable.
Jelani Peters remains down for Memphis. Let's see if we can get a better look at the Trinidadian defender going down here. He tried to soldier on. He got whacked right in the face. They have taken some knee-to-knee contact as well. Well, it might be time to start thinking about upcoming games. Memphis will host San Antonio in 5 days' time. Phoenix will go away to Miami next weekend. You know, a lot of credit to Darnell King, too. He's got the captain's armband tonight. He hasn't been playing all that much. And I think back to the game against New Mexico back in, was it 2021? With Rick Shantz at the helm late in the season. The COVID outbreak within the team. They brought in over a half dozen academy players. And it was King who, in really trying circumstances, really proved to be the epitome of a Phoenix Rising player when this proud club was at its peak. Now he steps in, first home match that he started all year. He's captained the team to a 5-0 advantage. Changes are coming. Lucas Turchi, the center back, the Brazilian, set to replace Peters. Hyndman's going to come off. Knight Pickering, the 18-year-old, will join as well. There's Hyndman's exit. Sean Dolly is done. That's it for Laurent Kissidou as well. Dylan Borzak.
Substitution for Memphis 901 FC. Entering the match is number 8, Lucas Turchi. Leaving the match is number 4, Emerson Hyndman.
Looks like Peters is going to try and continue. They may well add another defender in the back and try and stop the bleeding here. So Turchi, Pickering, and Borzak for Hyndman, Kissidou, and Dolly. It's Peters returning.
So the subs are on you whenever you want.
Substitutions for Phoenix Rising FC. Entering the match is number 8, Jose Hernandez.
So how come they make the subs and I cannot make my sub? I don't understand though. Sir, how come we couldn't make our subs? I don't understand that.
Checking them in. I need a second, all right?
So you decide when I make my subs?
Longera airing some frustration. That long diagonal ball does find Gallardo. Clean win of the ball. Pickering. Birmingham, Alabama native who's got 7 goal contributions in 456 minutes as an 18-year-old. Ball circulated through the penalty area. That's well away. Pickering. You think Phoenix will get their subs in now?
Credit to Juan Guerra, 65 minutes in and sitting on a 5-goal lead. That's not a typo. Still making an argument to compete, and with the 4th official that he deserves his opportunity as well. Swan song for Carlos Harvey. A night shift, well put in. His assist got the party going in the 13th minute to Eddie Manjoma, and then the 22nd, he added his own tally. A follow-up as was for his 4th goal of the year.
Gallardo grabs his first goal and concludes with an assist as well as fourth. Varela and Hernandez for Gallardo and Harvey. It's been a little while since Phoenix have gotten this kind of reception with players coming off the field where it's a job fully and completely well done. Joma, Trejo. Played short by Varela, got the return. Busy night in the championship this evening. A game in the Eastern Conference for Indy. Pull out a 2-2 draw with San Diego. Turns out Pittsburgh and Louisville wasn't the fireworks show we were hoping for. Well, there was a lot of rain.
You're so proud of yourself there.
I don't know. San Antonio 3-1 up. Miami's slide continues. Two big coaching changes this week, Dev. Last Monday it was Anthony Pulis. And then Tab Ramos after less than a year out in Hartford. Had an extended conversation about that on Sirius XM-FC earlier this week. Up by Majoma.
Speaking of the Tampa Bay Rowdies in Sin City, they now join Pittsburgh Riverhounds and 901 FC, although the latter portion of that argument, 12 games unbeaten, probably going to be pushed away as a double-digit unbeaten run. 8 wins in their last 10 for Neil Collins and co. in the Eastern Conference.
Have quickly swept any of those concerns away. At the start of the season, they are once again a genuine title contender. Romig. Just did sneak through. It's to Phoenix's benefit. Not once, but twice. Trejo streaking in behind. Trejo! Kit save, Romig. He can't believe he didn't score. Pickering's run pittered out wide. Forced away from Turchi.
How's the easiest one not slid home there for Danny Trejo? That's certainly the most simplistic in nature of the night, but such is life.
Kelly. It's not a bad idea.
How's the blueprint, by the way, for everyone at home? You want to try and figure out a way to chase down one of the best teams in the USL Championship and certainly atop the Eastern Conference, 901 FC. Transitional attacking football. Now you get a little bit lucky on the little pivot turn by Fede Varela. He's trying to go it alone, but Danny Trejo just converts himself onto the inside, says, I'll take that. Thank you very much. Credit, by the way, to Drew Romig, because he stands real tall here. This is not an easy save. We'll say that Danny Trejo cut down some of the angle, trying to drift it back to the inside and allowed Drew Romig to set himself. But an incredible save by the goalkeeper. One saving grace, pun intended.
Yeah. Manjoma. You know, this is what you remember about Phoenix at their height. They would be doing cartwheels en route to 6, 7, 8 goals. That there is no mercy. The old Phoenix Rising soccer complex, and maybe the spirit of that's returned, because Phoenix seems completely undeterred by the 5-0 scoreline from trying to find more. Flex down, and there's Rocco Rios Novo.
The record-setting team of 2019, the team that made it to the final that never was in 2020, a follow-up year that was pretty decent as well in 2021. The drums you're hearing behind this goal for the Banditos used to haunt my dreams. And that's just how many times you would hear them. They were constant, and they got louder and louder because of the offensive explosions that you regularly saw from Phoenix Rising. And though that has been dormant over the past 18 months, all of a sudden, as we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, a glimpse into the future of what could be for Juan Guerra and the boys in red. Off again.
This time, Romig steps in. Oh, man. It's just, this is so uncharacteristic for Memphis. Their fans right now, Bluff City Mafia, they're going, I cannot believe how far this has gotten out of hand. Offside. Credit Romig for stepping forward now a little bit more. We've reached a cooling break as we approach the final 15 minutes in Phoenix. 5 different goal scorers tonight for Phoenix Rising. The expected goals, 2.5 to about 1/4 of a goal. We'll not save our best for last. We use our best wine first. Starting the 13th minute from Eddie Manjoma.
Carlos Harvey, simple little 5-yard ball over the shoulder. Eddie Manjoma steps up in. Nobody closes him down. Instead, he closes the conversation. Upper corner, his first, and 1-0, Phoenix Rising. Carlos Harvey again, an argument 9 minutes later off the deflection from Drew Romig. Gets no help from the back line. Carlos Harvey puts them 2-0 ahead. And just before the halftime whistle, how's the run here on the back shoulder from Manuel Arteaga? There's a little knock from Graham Smith, but Arteaga says, no, no, sir, not going to the ground. Instead, I'm going to glory. 3-0, and yes, it continued forth. Gallardo over the top, Jelani Peters taking down. Gallardo brings the entire team to its knees as 4 reaches the scoreboard. And just for fun, 59 minutes into this match, Danny Trejo not to be outdone. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Certainly not for this man, who over the past 5 matches now has 2 goals, 2 assists. None simpler from this ball right across the penalty mark. The kiss of death into the bottom corner. And 5 for Phoenix against Memphis 901 FC.
So for those keeping score at home, that's Manjoma in the 13th, Harvey in the 22nd, Arteaga in the 43rd, Gallardo in the 56th, and Trejo in the 59th. The biggest scoring output by Phoenix all season long. Memphis will finish out their available subs. Phoenix will dip into their bench again. Anguiano in for Trejo. That is their 3rd change, 2nd moment.
Entering the match is number 15, Henry Ozachukwu. Leading the match is number 26,
Henry Ozachukwu coming in as well. Places Renzo Zambrano.
Entering the match is number 7, Bruno Laffa.
Is Bruno
leading the match
for Memphis?
Is number 10, Rodrigo
I think I got that right.
Entering the match is number 23, USL Paul.
And good news to see Leston Paul back in here.
Jeremy Kelly.
That's it for Kelly. Leston Paul's first appearance of the season. There was a good chance he would have been in the Gold Cup squad if not for the injuries he's dealt with here in 2023. Do you light the tape on fire if you're Memphis? I mean, is it as simple as that? It happened.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes you don't dwell on it, right? You just understand that there's no magic. And tonight was one of those nights. Now there's still 15 minutes to go. You'd like to stop the bleeding, so to say. I would say that for guys like Knight Pickering, continuing the conversation for Stephen Glass that you should be regularly in the starting 11. Bruno Lapa trying to find a way to maybe regain the starting position. Now, they wanted to make sure, Stephen Glass, that it wasn't Emerson Heineman and that's it. Bruno Lapa is certainly still there. It's just a different profile of a player, but gain some confidence back into your game. Become more consistent. Make that a regular talking point. Leston Paul, can you work your way back from injury? Gain some valuable minutes on the road. Go convince the manager that, hey, I'm going to give you my all regardless of what the scoreline is. And this team is certainly by no means in trouble. No, it was just a problematic night, and it happens to the best of them.
And in speaking with Stephen Glass, one thing the Scottish manager told us about expectations this year, look, from the front office perspective, this was a team that finished tied for second last year. They should be in the mix to get around there. They knew there'd be some early bumps, and they weathered those and went 12 unbeaten. Finished second in the East last year with 21 wins and just 5 losses. But Stephen told us, until you get your hands dirty, you really don't know what you have. You've got really good ideas, and they've expounded upon those. You're around the midway point of the season. You've got games in hand on everybody. It's just 3 points that drop to the cutting room floor, and you're still 2 games behind most teams in the league.
Recognize this as well as it's a slow start to the season that sees you lose at home against Loudoun, at home against Pittsburgh. There's 2 draws in a row, and then you go 12 unbeaten. I had a conversation with an Eastern Conference coach earlier this week, and I made enough friends at halftime, so I'm not going to out them.
Okay.
But they specifically said to me, I kind of want us to go get battered and bruised because I want us to come back down to earth. That reality check needs to be there, and this could be that for 901 FC. Now, you know, there's a positive out of everything, that you are fallible. You are human, so to say. You take this as a learning experience. Call it intensity, call it a tactical crisis within this match. Having a chink in the armor is not the worst thing. When you're found out, that's one of the best things, because you can go chase your inner demons, find a way to recover, and more importantly, solidify yourself moving forward so that it doesn't happen again.
King rolling centrally, back by Arteaga. Fuenmayor. It's Buckmaster. Smith. Zach goes down. Thought halftime was fun. We do it every week. Can't watch the match? Turn on SiriusXM FC, channel 157. It is North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including the return of USL All Access on Tuesday nights, 7 Eastern. Just started earlier, well, it's July now, last month. Plus, hear live matches from the USL, EPL, and more. It's all on SiriusXM FC 157 and the SXM app. We had Stephen Glass on here this last week. That's quite the leak that's been sprung. All 5 subs are gone for Memphis, but of course could go to the concussion sub with that bleed from the nose, if need be. Hopefully not a major problem here. We'll need a new kit for sure. See if we can get a better look.
That's that high arm right there. A little surprised that referee doesn't call a foul in this situation. The play continue on as well. Outstretched arm, just took it right across the face. Come on, Hank.
You know, I was just worried about catching some windburn today, but I did not come in here expecting to catch a bloody nose. Thankfully, you keep your arms down when you defend the buffet.
Well, immediately, to be fair,
Substitution for
very
Queens
cognizant
Rising
of his
FC.
environment, so it doesn't look like he's having the concussion protocol administered to him, which is obviously extremely positive. Stop the bleeding and allow him to get back to work.
This is great to see. 2 months out. Emil Cuello returns from a lower body injury. When Joma scores his first for Phoenix, it's majestic. And Cuello will see out the match. Great moment for Juan Guerra, who's about, Dev, you might know better. You've got young children. $7 lighter. He's running sort of an internal ring in his house about the score lines of the U.S. national team.
It's so funny how parents try and have these conversations with their children, and one of the funnier talking points coming out of our one-on-one with Juan Guerra in the lead up to this match was how he utilizes his time, and said, you know, family good, the personal relationship we have, he's kind enough to open up his home and let us know what the inner workings are like. And
sure,
turns out his son had a bit of a success story of his own within the pyramid of the family tree, and they were talking about what the United States men's national team scoreline might look like in their last Gold Cup match. Well, Juan got a little aggressive, thought maybe that might approach double digits, but asked for 9. And his son quite convincingly stated, no, I see it being 6. And if it was going to be 6, he would treat him to an outing at his favorite McDonald's. Well, guess what? Asked, delivered. Although I will say the food selection was interesting from the young man. Juan Guerra's son goes with the stereotypical Happy Meal. He's moved on from the previous decision-making of chicken nuggets to the one cheeseburger. But interestingly enough, he actually eats the ice cream cone first and then goes with the meal itself.
It's gonna melt. It's 115 degrees in Phoenix this week.
I mean, I'm going further than that, because you don't get ice cream with a Happy Meal. My kid's parlayed the one bet into 2 separate entree selections. He just goes, I'm getting dessert, and then I'm gonna have my entree. Literally cake and eat it too.
There's some folks at the league right now thinking, goodness, do we need to start an investigation? I promise that's the whole of it. It was indeed USA 6, St. Kitts and Nevis 0 in that Gold Cup game.
Meanwhile, Juan Guerra's wife at home is going, you took him to McDonald's.
Do you think his son thought tonight would be 6-0? Because that deserves a steak dinner at least. Ball rolled in here. Flick back to Malloy. Rios Novo had nothing to say about that, but Malloy is off target.
This is what Memphis wants, though. I mean, just watching idly by Rios Novo as Aaron Malloy taking a nice little chance for 901 FC. Good to see a little bit of fight left.
That gets away. NorCal rivalry center stage. USL on ESPN does continue. Alex Dixon having a tremendous season for a very potent Monterey Bay FC attack. Paul Blanchett will try and keep him off the board. Heading up to staunch Oakland Roots SC. Monterey Bay, Oakland Roots, Saturday, July 15th, 10 p.m. Eastern time, right here on ESPN2. Happy feet from Varela. Nearly found Arteaga. Malloy plays into Romig. Phoenix describes home matches, in Juan Guerra's estimation, through 3 words: It is a responsibility. It is a joy for the players. And yes, indeed, tonight it was exciting. 3 goals in the first half. And back 2 in about 4 minutes here in the second from Trejo and Gallardo to blow this thing open. Well, the fun part, Dev, about the standings right now in the championship, you picked a team that's in first to win the West, sure. Picked a team that's fourth in the East to win the crown there. You could argue the depth, top to bottom, in these two 12-team conferences, as good as it's ever been.
Yeah, it's really impressive what the USL Championship has been able to cultivate. You know, it's the modernization of the modern era. Since 2011, there's been certainly different conferences realigning. Onside somehow here. I didn't think so.
Not so fast.
And you know, the removal of the 2 teams was a heavy talking point, and it's easy to point a finger at that. But I wouldn't say it's just that. You have to understand that you talked about some of the coaches departing, right? Tab Ramos in Hartford and Anthony Pulis and Miami FC. There's an expectation that sits within these teams now that everybody's competing for a title. And while maybe some of that veers a little bit off course, you know, comparing Loudoun to the Tampa Bay Rowdies, right? Loudoun is still a very different team under Ryan Martin now than they were under the expertise, if you will, or guidance is probably the better word to use, of DC United. Sacramento Republic is certainly a little bit different than the Las Vegas Lights, but all of these teams have the ambition not to just go out and compete. They want to be at the center of the talking points of the league on a regular basis. So they want better players, they want better stats, all of it.
That back heel was excellent, turning, and the shot is on and in. It is 6-0, Federico Varela. Once Kid gets another Happy Meal. Happy fans tonight, 6-0 rising.
This is one of the pieces coming in for Phoenix Rising. They've really been waiting to get going. You want to know what he's capable of? Incredible stuff from the substitute. But watch Fede Varela go to work. I mean, the half turn, the pirouette, the utter embarrassment that he's put 901 FC through, just 8 yards out. The cutback across, the vision, and the finish on the tail end of this match that has seen a coming out party and then some. One of the best in the USL Championship, humbled to what used to be for Phoenix Rising and what certainly now is an incredible footballing display put on tonight in the desert.
My, oh my. Diplo created the track that they play after goals, right?
Correct.
The part owner. Yeah, that's the most listened to track in Phoenix tonight. Pulled over by Pickering. There's contact there, no need for a whistle. No, it's a ref with a sense of humor. 3 added minutes.
The fourth official has indicated there will
Free
be a
kick,
minimum
Memphis.
of 3 minutes of added time in the second half.
Well, it's going to be 5 unbeaten. It's going to be 14 goals in the last 5 games for Phoenix. And I've spoken to Juan Guerra on several occasions this year, and in every instance, the term clear ascending curve came into play. He feels like this team is getting closer and closer to the vision that he stubbornly believes can win here. Tonight may just be the elixir he needed to prove it. Malloy, dangerous ball, whisked back to Arteaga. Back curled by Pickering. And he did tell us, 2 goals at home should be enough to win any game. He mentioned nothing about 6.
And how's the fact that, listen, Juan Guerra wants to move the ball, and everything has been about getting numbers up high. 6 goals tonight, 8 different players contributing to that argument. Wow. Manjoma, Harvey, Arteaga, Gallardo, Trejo, Fede Varela, and Cuejo. And that is total football right there in a nutshell.
It's been over 50 games since we've seen an outburst like this. Phoenix Rising. The throw here for Memphis in the final minutes. They'll host San Antonio next weekend. Go away to Oakland and Sacramento over a 4-day California trip. Fuenmayor. Phoenix will go away to Miami and return home against Colorado Springs after a week off on the 22nd of July. That's a heck of a week. They'll go to Sacramento and then away to Monterey. 4-day California trip of their own. The leading scoring team in the league shut out tonight. And Phoenix putting together one of the most impressive performances in franchise history. A 6-0 win. 6 different goal scorers. And Juan Guerra putting together the most complete attacking performance by scoreline since October 16th of 2021. Wow.
Are located at the northwest corner of the stadium.
Certainly one to forget for Memphis 901 FC. The 12-game unbeaten streak, it's over. But a new one, possibly on the horizon. Just got to get back to basics, forgive, forget, and move on. For Erickson Gallardo, Danny Trejo, Cuejo, Harvey, Arteaga, Manjoma, Fede Varela, the list goes on and on for Phoenix tonight. Masterclass for the boys in the desert. What may be a coming out party for the future.
Manjova, Harvey, Arteaga, Gallardo, Trejo, Varela. 6-0 wrap-up coming up. It's a two-way street, this applause tonight. Arteaga is now the leading scorer in the championship, his 10th of the season, 6 different goal scorers. And Phoenix catapults up the Western Conference standings with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts to wrap this one up. Dev, this is a huge win for Phoenix. And yeah, the points are nice, but there's a feeling now around this team.
Well, you have to understand for Phoenix Rising that this has been coming. You just didn't know exactly when they were going to get there. There's too much talent within this team, and is it a tactical change? Is it full health? Is it fitness? They've been chasing all of that, and all of a sudden, 17 games in at the halfway point of the USL Championship 2023 season, they are just 3 points off of last year's champions, San Antonio FC. It may have not been the greatest of starts, but certainly a start to a great finish.
All right, our next game here on ESPN2, Monterey Bay and Oakland Roots on Saturday, July 15th. It's a 10 p.m. Eastern time kick right here. And games all season on ESPN+. Phoenix, they're back, baby. Memphis, a strugglesome night for Devin Kerr and our entire team, especially our beloved World Cup-bound producer, Sharni Yerke. Mike Watts saying thanks for watching, and so long for now. The Rising win it 6-0.
But Eddie Manjoma is capable of playing on the right, playing on the left. He's comfortable. And so as a wingback or as an outside marking back, there is an understanding from this young man of tactically exactly where he needs to be. I talked about 901 FC and how they want to shrink the field, allow their outside backs to get high. Well, Eddie Manjoma gives them a taste of their own medicine. Just creeps up right underneath Danny Trejo, allows to be able to change while he's on a coaching course, not there, not being able to train it, and yet still get 4 positive results in the last 4. I commend him for it.
Manjoma fires!
to change while he's on a coaching course, not there, not being able to train it, and yet still get 4 positive results in the last 4, I commend him for it.
Manjoma